Hi everyone, this is Jim Tolles, and today I wanted to talk about not taking things personally. I think this is a really important piece. It's an interesting balance that we learn on the spiritual path as we're growing, as we're learning to discover ourselves. On the one hand, we look at the world and what it's reflecting back, what we can learn about ourselves by the people we've drawn into our life, by the situations we've brought into our lives, that we've co-created. And yet at the same time, we're learning how to not take things personally. That when somebody gets angry and starts yelling at us, as long as we've been learning our own lessons about how we're interacting, what the shockwaves we're sending out into the world are doing, then what the other people do really has nothing to do with us. It's just part of their own expression, part of their own illusion, and they're just reacting from it. Initially, this is very difficult because we're such a reactive people and we've been defining ourselves by what goes on in the external world. And this is a real problem for a lot of spiritual seekers, is because they're looking for external feedback that they've achieved something spiritually. Even in awakening, this idea tries to persist, where people are like, have I finished this awakening? Have I arrived? And it's like, arrived where? Where do you think you're going? Going within is already here, so there's no real endpoint to it. Although that in and of itself has kind of its own cycles within the shift from the unawake to the awakened space. But even after that, there's continued shifts and growth throughout life, because that is life. So there's not really a goal, and it's not personal. It's just awakening. It's what's arising. So it's not even really about your ego or about you, or about if you're worthy or not. I mean, it's an interesting thing with spiritual awakening, because a lot of people wake up who are not even trying to find it. I mean, I hear all sorts of fun stories where people truly were not trying to do anything, weren't doing anything spiritual. But putting that aside, letting go of the external world is a really big piece. We learn from it as we can learn from it. We stay engaged with it, but we're letting go of attachments to it. And one of the most important attachments is to getting that validation and that seeming love from other people. Love is within. That's why self-love is so powerful. Self-love is that space within us that combines with the space of God. And God is everything. So it's the within and without comes together. And that space of true self-love that isn't about a reason. You are complete. And so you don't need anything from other people. However, you can still enjoy things from other people. It's like the icing on the cake. You already have the cake. And so now you can enjoy the icing when somebody sends it your way. If somebody sends something your way that doesn't feel good, then you don't have to accept that. Right? It actually becomes clearer and clearer what you want in your space, what you want in your life. You don't have to try that hard. Where for a lot of people are trying so hard to find love, and finding love in all the wrong places, right? So they're going over here for this or that or that. They're trying to do it through awards and trophies. They're trying to do it through money. They're trying to do it through relationships. And it all keeps disappointing them. Right? Why does this keep happening to me? This is the sad song of the ego. If it keeps happening to you, then it has something to do with you. That's a personal reason. But it doesn't actually have to do with the other people. You have to look at your own piece in the process. Looking at your own piece in the puzzle, you start to say, oh, this is how I'm creating it. This is what I'm actually asking for. And this is why I talk about having your own spiritual work that you do to understand yourself. Right? This is an important piece for a lot of people to step through. There's a lot of different phases for spiritual awakening, and I'll always say that the quickest place to that awakened space is to just let go. In letting go, you come more fully into what is. And the more you melt into that space, the more you just see as you are. It's a beautiful, profound thing. It's profoundly simple. And that's usually what most people, the further they truly are on the spiritual path, the more they realize they're not anywhere. It's kind of the big loop. It's like, at a certain point, like there's this kind of turn where you're way out here, and then you kind of loop back, and you're like, I'm back where I started. And then there's that deeper space where you start to say, I never really left. I've always just been here. Where have I been trying to go? Where is there to ever really go? Doesn't mean you don't enjoy the external world, but the way you engage with it will start to change. It's always about the how. So how you engage the external world is very different the more you come down into this truth. And the truth is you have everything within you. So just go do the things and, enjoy the places that feel true to you. Do what you're called to do. And sometimes that actually will take you into places that are very difficult and very challenging. I usually use the example of the diplomat helping two warring tribes come to peace. So say that's somebody's karma, right? You're going to places that are very uncomfortable, right? But if you feel called to it, then you can be with it, and then you've been practicing not taking any of it personally. So when people are angry at you and they're angry at each other and it's all blowing up, if you fail to create peace, that's not about you. Succeed, it's not about you either, right? This is an interesting thing where you start to see what the ego's after. If the ego's always looking for some sort of success, then the spiritual path is going to be really, really confronting because there is no success. I think that in and of itself is just absolutely shocking to most people, right? Because a lot of people have the subtle egos, I'm going to achieve something and I'm going to do this, I'm going to be the most realized person ever or something. And there's nothing to do. And there's no way to succeed at it. And there's no way to fail at it because that's not how the space is. But to get started, it's important to stop taking things personally. Why your mother's angry at you probably has less to do with you than it does with how she experiences you and who she thinks you are. And why you're angry with her, however, that has everything to do with you. It has nothing to do with what she just did. And this can be a really challenging thing for a lot of people, as I said, because they've been so focused in the external world and what the external world and all the experience, abilities, and sensations it sends at us, and there's quite a few. And so we just learn that it's not about us. There's nothing to do with it. There are certain things that will call our attention, and we pay our taxes and that type of stuff. But really don't get ahead of the path. If this is where you are right now, and it feels like life has been doing things to you, then it's time to pause and to look at yourself. And if you feel like you've been able to control things, it's time to pause and look at yourself. That's just where the spiritual path takes you. It takes you inwards to look at how you are creating your reality. There are always going to be greater forces in you influencing your life. It's just how it is. But how we respond, that's up to us. And that's where our true power can be. So I encourage you, whether good things are coming or bad things are coming or weird things are coming, don't take it personally. Learn what you can learn. If you have a part in how you're co-creating this particular situation, find your part. See how you're acting in this little play, in the saga, and then you can change that. And that's a powerful thing to know. I hope this was helpful. My name is Jim Tolles, and you can find me regularly at spiritualawakeningprocess.com. I also work with people one-on-one sessions through Skype and in person if you're in the San Francisco Bay Area. Have a beautiful day.